Okay, okay. So I budgeted the last part of class, this class at least, for questions and answers. And I really appreciate the questions you sent to me or you asked in the earlier classes. We didn't go through them. So this is giving me a chance to think about them and research or ask my own teachers about the ones I didn't know right off the bat. And I want you to have these answers. I want you to keep asking questions, but have these answers and use them in your practice. And, if we don't get to all of these today, I promise we'll find the time to do it, make the time to do it, or I'll get you the answers before you graduate. And then we can also, if we get through these, we can do some live questions that you didn't, think of earlier. So here's a great one. The first one: does it matter when I meditate? So I think there are three schools of thought on this one. There's references in Eastern spiritual traditions that there's these ideal windows when you meditate. I studied Kundalini yoga, and they taught that meditation should be between 4 to 7 in the morning or 4 to 7 in the evening, because those are these twilight hours. Again, these are traditions that are passed down and not necessarily, scientifically based. But that's the second one, is that if you meditated first thing in the morning, when your pituitary gland is secreting hormones for the rest of the day, and these are helpful hormones. If you meditate in the morning, you could be supercharging those hormones, and you might have a day that's filled up with more of these brain chemicals that increase your stress resilience and mental clarity. And I think that if you have a morning routine and things are sequential, you might get up, turn off the alarm, and you want to brush your teeth, but your schedule says I'm going to meditate, then you're less likely to skip the meditation if you woke up on time. So my personal opinion is the best time to meditate is when you meditate. So, if you have a practice, the when matters, because if you don't schedule it, you might miss it, you might skip it. And it's harder and harder to keep it, keep stringing along more and more days. So if you're randomly meditating, you get kind of random results. But you'll find your way. And so I'm recommending that you find a window, you make some time to meditate, and we can talk more about how long. Okay, so this next question is, I'm always either restless or uncomfortable when I meditate. What should I do? I'm not going to name names, but this could be Nuven. But this really could be all of us. I love this question because I completely relate to it. If it happens to you, it happened to me, we're not the only ones. It's totally normal. And it's not always going to be the case. So two parts of the answer. One is the physical restlessness / discomfort, and the other would be kind of like a mental or emotional restlessness or discomfort. So when you're new, you have to get used to the way you're going to sit and the posture you use. And it starts to be really annoying, or it's immediately annoying to stay still and in the same place, because there's only a few places during the day you might be doing that. You're driving your car, or you might be at your desk, but you can get up, and you're in an airplane, you can still get up. So you might find yourself fidgeting or adjusting your position. You're focusing on the discomfort, and so much that it's you think it's actually painful. It's going to be more painful, and this is great to experience because you'll know when it's happening, and you'll remember they're not permanent. They're not permanent side effects. So, for sitting, we talked about this, this sitting position, which works for many to keep your spine upright, is to have your hips above your knees and elevate your tailbone. So you can use the meditation cushion. You could sit at the edge of a chair or in a chair. We had these switchback chairs that you can kind of adjust. And what I like about having a chair or a seat is that's the place you might end up meditating consistently. So anything that makes it easier for you to meditate, it's great. I wouldn't recommend laying down unless it's kind of pain related, because that can be related to falling asleep. And I wouldn't necessarily, we could talk about this more, but I wouldn't lie down, close to when you woke up or you're going to bed, because you might sleep in or sleep early, and then you might shortchange yourself, if you made time for a longer meditation. When you're sitting, one of the ankles, the balls of the ankle are probably going to press on the floor, and that can hurt. And what I was taught is you could get used to it. And until that happens, you could put like a blanket or a towel underneath that specific bone. But I found it to still be uncomfortable until I had some time under, some meditation time under my belt, and it became less and less uncomfortable. Now, if you're mentally restless or uncomfortable, it's great because you get to know these feelings and embrace them like a family member. You can start out like observing the feeling and where it's coming from, and just pay attention to it. You experience it fully, and you learn to let it happen. They call this equanimity, and it could still happen, and you could still meditate and get the benefits. And this again, it gets much, much better over time. But if you're having trouble because it's just too much, too overwhelming, then just shorten the meditation sessions at the beginning, and you'll add up time, as it becomes a little bit easier for you. Related to this is a great question. What should I do if I keep falling asleep when I meditate? And, when this happens, it's good to address it sooner than later, because you don't want to get discouraged when you keep falling asleep. And so if you're laying down, the chances of you falling asleep are a lot greater. So that's because the body knows you lay down when you're about to wind down, or sleep in. If you're not laying down, that might mean that you're not having enough sleep or enough rest. And so I would revisit your sleep hygiene, like when you go to bed, what you do before you go to bed, how long you're in bed, what the temperature is, what you're wearing, when you wake up. All this adds up, and it can really help your regular health, but also so that you're not tired when you meditate, because it takes an amount of mental energy to meditate at length. So the solution is to rest. And if this keeps happening, then, figure out a position which makes it difficult for you to sleep, so maybe you're sitting in a chair or on a stool, where you don't want to fall asleep and fall down, or maybe you're standing up to some extent. You could try all these things that might help you lessen and lessen the times you fall asleep. Okay, can I meditate while I'm doing another activity like running or driving? No. I mean, not quite, but maybe. So like driving, absolutely not, and I would avoid it if you're in the front passenger seat, because you're kind of like a co-pilot, and you can help that person not miss an exit, especially if they're not very mindful. So I don't think that driving is ever going to be a safe place to meditate. But, things can be meditative. Like you could be washing the dishes, or you're running, and, you might find yourself going inward, observing your breathing or thoughts, but that's not 100% of the time. And so I think it's better that you're intentional, that you're like, if you're going to be doing something physical, then maybe walking meditation, or like a movement practice like yoga. So I think that the relationship between your meditation practice and these activities, which are calming or they're physically pleasant, like runner's high, is that the meditation practice gets you better and better at being present while you're doing them. So, you're washing the dishes and you feel the water temperature and the suds on your fingers. You see the food coming off each dish. You're grateful for the food that you had. You hear the noise each dish makes. You feel the texture. You hear things around you or you don't. So it's so awesome to help you be that much more present. And okay, next one is, how can I find the time to meditate when I'm so busy? And we've talked about this before, is that you can make the time.